I love listening to this guy call games, certainly when he does it with another great human in Charles Davis on CBS. He's also one of the voices of Westwood One coverage of the National Football League as well, and the voice of the Brooklyn Nets. He's a voice, but he's also a face, and he's a friend of the program back here on the Rich Eisen Show. Prior to calling Giants Ravens, how about that?
Hey, big game.
How about that one on CBS, which I believe is still America's most watched network. Ian Eagle back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Ian?
I'm a human being, Rich. I'm a full-formed human being. Please don't just think of me as a voice
and a face.
There's more to me. There's layers. There's levels.
Deep. I didn't know that. So, so let me reintroduce you. Ian Eagle, fresh off his ayahuasca vacation here on the Rich Eisen Show,
Yeah.
completely in touch with every fiber of his being right here on the program. Is that a better introduction then?
Yeah, no, that was excellent. Now I feel completely full. Thank you, Rich.
Yes, sir.
Great to talk to you. How you doing?
I am well, man. I do love listening to you and Charles call games. Is he one of the greatest human beings on planet Earth, or what? Charles Davis.
Isn't he? He is a really good person and so prepared and passionate.
Oh, yeah.
Into it every single week. If you could see what leads up to Sunday for him, it is a full commitment and immersion into the game that we're doing, and that's what makes him great at what he does. It's not limited to, I'll watch a couple pieces of tape and show up and have a little bio. He just goes into other places that I've been blown away in our 2+ years together.
And then, of course, if you're doing a Saturday Night Live reference to Tyler Bass, he'll get that too. He'll get
He's very strong.
He's very
70s, 80s references.
Big time.
I think by his own admission, the aughts were a blur. I don't believe that he can really hang on the aughts.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, man, when you got your schedule prior to the season, I don't know if you were circling Giants, Ravens. I don't know if that was one you were circling, but, man, we can circle that. We can definitely circle that. What a game this is you got coming up this weekend, Ian Eagle.
Great story, obviously, with the Giants. And I think the reminder, Rich, you live in this world every day, so you're reminded of how difficult it is to win in the NFL, to turn around a franchise, to get players to really buy into what you're doing. I think it's the toughest sport as a head coach to truly get the buy-in. You're talking about 53 players, 10 practice squad, and that's rotating, so you have different personalities coming in. So 63 players a week to believe in what it is you're selling on a daily basis. And for Brian Daboll to come in with basically the same roster, some adjustments here and there, but for the most part, it's the same team that won 4 games last year. And now they've won 4 in 5 weeks. So it speaks a great deal to his leadership, to his vision, and to the players absolutely following him and believing in him. It's probably the biggest surprise in my mind of the NFL. If you're going to look for the most positive surprise, I'd say it's the biggest one of this young season.
I mean, and I know you probably haven't spoken to Daboll yet, but the credit he is, I do believe, rightfully receiving for this 4-1 start from his 2-point attempt in week 1 in Tennessee, that did actually work. I'm sure Josh McDaniels is sitting here right now saying, please tell me how that feels, and you've got also Daniel Jones's success, Saquon Barkley's reemergence, but the defense is also playing significant football right now. What do you attribute? It is interesting watching a coach kind of turn this thing around with Daboll, Ian.
Yeah, and we hear the word culture. That's the biggest word when a new coach takes over, a new GM takes over, and that's really difficult. It's difficult to change the way that people think in any given facility or what they've grown accustomed to. I think he just brought a lot of positivity, and I do think there was a mentality from him and from the GM. So let's give credit to Joe Shane, who came over from Buffalo, that they're not going to just go with guys if they're making big money. That, they were signed to a huge contract, so automatically pencil them in. They're the starter. So when you recognize in training camp into preseason that you're an undrafted free agent or you're a lower draft pick, and you are truly on the same plane as someone that's making $9 million that year or signed to a long-term contract, it's a true competition. It's a true meritocracy. That changes things, and it changes things in a hurry. The other part, defensively, they've been really aggressive. Wink Martindale, that's a nice subplot for this game with Baltimore, 4 years as the defensive coordinator, 10 years under Harbaugh in Baltimore, and the roots go back even longer than that. He coached under Papa Harbaugh in the college ranks. So Martindale has been a big part and has been intertwined with the Harbaughs for many, many years. Really aggressive, more blitz packages than we've seen in previous years for the New York Giants, and then not making the big mistake on offense. I know sometimes it sounds simple, but for Daniel Jones, nobody questions his physical ability. Nobody questions what he brings to the field. The issues for him had always been that one big mistake late in a game, an interception, a fumble, a poor decision. And those just haven't happened this year. Can they keep this going? Is it sustainable given all their injuries? I don't know. But I do know that there's at least some feelings of optimism now that the Giants have the right people in place.
Well, it makes sense that Wink Martindale is bringing the heat because he did that all the time as the host of Tic Tac Dough, right, Ian?
He did.
Remember that?
Man.
Remember that dragon? Whenever they would find the dragon, those unsuspecting players of Tic Tac Dough.
If I can work in various game show host names over the course of this broadcast, who would you most want to hear? Which game show host would tickle your fancy?
Wow. There's nobody named. Can you look up Brockman the roster? There's nobody named Jim Perry on there, right? There's no Jack. Bill Cullen? Is there a Bill? Is there a Cullen? Is there a Cullen? I'm trying to go down. I'm trying to go on that list.
It doesn't even matter. I don't even need a name that connects. I'll just find a way to mention
apropos of nothing.
It doesn't matter.
Jim Perry hosted 10 different game shows.
Oh, dude, Card Sharks. Come on now. Don't mess with this right now.
No longer with us. He passed away in 20.
Oh, sorry.
He passed.
Well, he's just unavailable, as they say in the business as well.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, just apropos of nothing, just start dropping names when you see Wink Martindale. It'd be fantastic. I'll laugh. I don't know if CBS will, but
I'll do it for an audience of one.
Appreciate that. Ian Eagle here on the Rich Eisen Show. When you were in Carolina last week and you spoke to Matt Rhule prior to the 49ers Panthers game you just called with Charles Davis, did you get a sense that Matt Rhule knew the clock was ticking? Did you get that sense from him?
Yeah, I mean, I got the sense that they felt that it was not going in the right direction.
Right.
Certainly, nothing in our back and forth indicated that he was worried this week, but there was a general feeling in that area that one more lopsided loss or a loss where they just don't look like a team that is put together to make a run in the NFL was probably going to be enough. So not shocking Monday when it happened. It's a very tough situation there because they swung and missed on a couple of quarterbacks. And in this league, if you whiff in that department, that can set you back 5 years in whatever rebuilding plan you're trying to come up with. Yeah, I think back, I had them his first year. Teddy Bridgewater was the QB. They had a game in Washington late in the season, and they won the game. And you thought that things were starting to come together and Matt's imprint was being formed, but I didn't get the sense that he saw Bridgewater as the long-term answer, and clearly he didn't because Teddy was done by the end of the year. They make the decision to go for Sam Darnold. That, unfortunately backfires, and then the Baker Mayfield decision. The irony is that I really think they were in the Jimmy Garoppolo conversation seriously, and they might have been the lead team, but ultimately they didn't pull the trigger, and maybe they'd be in a different position. Not to say that all of a sudden Carolina would be a playoff team, but they might have been more competitive with Jimmy G, and maybe we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
And the irony that the quarterback who beat the Panthers and helped, I guess, make a decision for David Tepper, it was Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, the irony of all of that. And so you've called the Bills beating the Ravens, and you just saw the Niners. Which is the better of the two teams, do you think? And I ask that with knowing that the entirety of our business is put, including myself, our markers on the Bills. But you've seen them in person. Seriously. You know? So what do you think?
Yeah, I think Buffalo's the best team in the NFL. I think they're the people's champ in many ways because of how they lost last year. There are a lot of people that weren't even Bills fans that are now on board because they want to see the team fulfill whatever destiny that might be in front of them. And they're fun. They're a fun-loving team that's tone is set by Josh Allen because of who he is and how he carries himself and how he interacts with his teammates and then how he goes out and performs every week. To me, they are pound for pound the best team in the NFL. San Francisco's a really nice story considering what could have happened and what the plan was. The plan was Trey Lance, and I'm not sure how it all would have ended up over the course of the season. They were going to stick with the plan, but the injury allowed Jimmy Garoppolo to come back and be the quarterback of this team. And in the short term, I think they're better off because of it. They're going to win more games with Jimmy Garoppolo under center compared to Trey Lance. What does that mean in 2023 and 24? I don't know. I just know now he's the right guy, and their defense is elite, legit. They're going to be a factor in the NFC. We're going to be talking about them in January, and I'm curious to see how it all evolves. But I think they're stable. I think they're on very solid ground right now.
Ian Eagle here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, let's flip the script here and move to another gig of yours as the voice of the Brooklyn Nets. And my apologies for setting up this conversation this way, but that's an advance. You just called the Bills a fun-loving team. What do you call the Brooklyn Nets, Ian Eagle?
They're a little dramatic. I would say that's probably the best way to put it. I think they got a lot of their stuff on the table, which needed to happen in order to move past all this. Whatever was happening behind the scenes throughout last season that never really got to the forefront but was percolating finally came out once they got swept by the Boston Celtics. So they needed to deal with a lot of this stuff, whether it was Kevin Durant and Sean Marks, whether it was ownership, whether it was Kyrie Irving, whether it was Steve Nash. All of this needed to be dealt with in person like adults, and I think they've now done that. What does it mean for this year? I would say they might be the most difficult team right now to predict what their win total could be. If this thing works and it clicks and Ben Simmons looks like the guy that went to the All-Star game 3 times as a member of the 76ers and was all NBA first-team defense, if it all clicks, they could be a 50-plus win team and be a serious factor. But what we learned last year is what do you do in the face of adversity, whether it be injuries, whether it be off-the-court stuff, the inner workings of the franchise, culture, as we discussed earlier with the Giants. How is that handled? That part we don't know. That part is a complete mystery. And I think by their own admission, they don't know how that's going to go. So in terms of intrigue, they're right up there with anybody in the NBA. And then the relevance factor. Rich, you grew up in New York. You know that the Nets didn't get a whole lot of play through the years in our childhood. They are a team that's talked about a lot, and that comes with a whole different set of challenges when you're under the microscope. So they're learning about that and dealing with it day to day. When this season gets going next week, they're going to be one of the hot topics of conversation once again. You know,
it's just going to be a fascinating watch, Ian, certainly with you at the call for many of them, because I don't know of another team. I mean, and again, you've been around the New York area for a long time, and it's where I grew up too. I don't know of another New York team where, you know, the team is put together, and because where else are you going to go? what other options did you really have? I mean, like Kyrie, hey, sure you opted in. Who else is going to give you that money? Durant opted out. Well, you wanted out, but where were you going to go? No one was going to give us anything you're worth, so you might as well stay here and play with Kyrie. And also Simmons, no one else wanted you. We took you. I guess you want to play, so why not here, right? I mean, it's just how many of those stars can you just put together under the guise of, hey, you wanted to be together, right? Once, maybe not now, and then put it in the hands of a guy in Steve Nash who reportedly had a vote of no confidence from almost every single person I just mentioned. How does that happen, right? Is there another team like that?
Yeah. It doesn't happen often where it normally leads to success. So if it does happen, usually it means that the team is fracturing, right, and they're going to have to go in a different direction. Here's the thing about it. Winning is the best deodorant in sports. If you win, all of the things you're talking about begin to dissipate. And then the focus becomes on winning, and the focus becomes on how this team has somehow come together amidst all the challenges. That's why we tune in. That's why it draws so much interest across all the major sports. It is a reality show in many ways, and the unpredictable nature of it keeps bringing us back. So, here we are before the season starts. You and I had a discussion a year ago prior to the Nets season. How was it going to go? How was it going to work out? It didn't work out well. James Harden didn't want to be there. He forced his way out. He completely separated himself from the team to the point where they didn't have a choice. They recognized it was irreparable. They make a deal for Ben Simmons, hoping that he's on his way back physically to be a part of this thing and be a part of a playoff run. As late as the final week of the regular season, they thought he still had a chance to play, and then he could not play. The back was a legitimate issue and required surgery. So they go into the playoffs. They get swept by Boston. And after having a lead, playing at a high level in Game 1, should have won the game. Tatum beats the buzzer to beat them in Game 1, and that was it. They never recovered from that. So all of those happenings taking place in the manner that they did leave us in this position now where we have no idea, truly no idea, what this team is going to be. It's exciting in some ways, and then the other part of it can be a little bit unnerving because it's hard to visualize how all of this is going to go.
Ian, you're the best. Thanks for calling in. I look forward again to hearing you and Charles Davis on the call of Ravens and Giants, and then especially, if the Ravens are going for it on fourth down. As you know, John Harbaugh always does that against a Wink Martindale defense. You can call you can call John Harbaugh, wait for it, the Peter Tamarkin, trying to press his luck. Please, it's right there. It's Peter. He's like the Peter Tamarkin going against Wink Martindale. This has got to happen. It's got to happen.
Yes, the new quality control coach Chuck Woolery is involved in that decision.
And we'll be back. And certainly, if they go for 2-2, come on now. This is it, Ian. This is Ian. Please. I mean, it's on a platter. Is all I'm saying.
It writes itself.
Please say hello to Charles Davis for me, will you, please?
I will.
Please do that.
I will.
Take care, brother.
Thanks, Rich.
That's Ian Eagle, everybody. Ian Eagle right here. Peter Tamarkin, everybody.
The whammy.
Press your luck.